everybody, and welcome to the Lake Bluff District 65 Board of Education regular meeting for October 25th, 2016. Could we please have a roll call?
Barry.
Present.
Present. Charlotte. Present. Gottschall.
Present.
Good. Ryder.
Present.
All right, we're all present. We have a quorum. We're going to begin and start with Pledge of Allegiance. So if you all rise and join me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a little heads up to people who are new to school board meetings. This is not going to be your typical meeting. We are going to streamline this and get through this quickly because there are Cubs playing in the first World Series since 1945. So this will be quick. That may be good for you. That may not be. You might want to come to another meeting. All right, so moving right along, we offer the opportunity for public comment. If anybody would like to address the board, please feel free to step to the podium and address the board. Otherwise, we'll move right along and go to our edition of discussion item number 5. If the board would like to add a discussion item for future agendas, please let us know now.
You will be tarred and feathered if you do, but if you'd like to add anything, go ahead.
Or you can just email it to me or Jean and we'll get it on an agenda in the future. Moving on to reports, there are none. So we're moving on to discussion items. And before we jump to our auditor's report, we're going to do right away, I'm going to ask that the board, for show of hands, all in favor of tabling items C and D, superintendent evaluation form and board meeting location. All in favor of tabling those to a future meeting?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so C and D are tabled to a future meeting. We're going to move right to our auditor's report. You got like 6 minutes. Top line.
I can do this very quickly. Thank you for having me here this evening. Everybody should have a copy of the audit financial statements and a copy of the required communication with the governing body. The audit opinion that we were able to render on the financial statements is an unmodified audit opinion, which is the highest level of assurance you can receive from your external auditor that the financial statements are prepared fairly in all material respects and, of course, with generally accepted accounting principles. So that's typically what you want to hear when your external auditor comes in to report on the audit. I wouldn't go through all the numbers in the financial statements. I'll just point out 2 things that I thought were notable during the year. The district issued some debt. Some of the debt was utilized for funding some facility work throughout the district, and then there was also a refunding that was performed on some outstanding bonds, and that refunding generated a positive cash flow to the district. More information on that is located in the notes, but I believe it was to the tune of about $1 million or so. So the act of refunding that debt, calling it, replacing it with new bonds, saved you collectively over the life of the bonds about $1 million. So very good things that you want to see when you're taking advantage of those opportunities in the marketplace. Moving along, there's another document, required communication with the governing body. The external auditor is required to gain an understanding of your controls over the preparation of the financial statements. We're not providing any assurance over your design, effectiveness, operations. If we identify risks in that process of planning our audit, we're required to communicate those to you. The business office has, JCon does a wonderful job preparing the financial statement numbers. He does all the adjustments to convert from a cash basis to a modified accrual basis of accounting, understands all the disclosures. One of the things that we identified during the audit was an adjustment for retainage related to capital projects. This is an amount that you accrue, but you don't pay until later when the project is finished. We adjusted it. It was a material amount, brought it to Jay's attention quickly, resolved the matter, but we're required to report it. Outside of that, stunning job during the audit.
Does that require any future work on Jay's part for future years? Anything different?
Quite honestly, I think once you get bit by the retainage adjustment entry, you never get bit by it again because you typically do such hard work to get everything right, and then that one transaction, because it doesn't go out of your subsequent disbursements, you kind of realize, oh man, yeah, I should have done that one. So it's one that has caught a few people in the past, and generally once you get caught by it, you don't get caught by it.
Is that a school-related thing? I've never heard.
It's a construction-related thing. So it's a progress bill. When you're paying your vendor for the work, you withhold a certain dollar amount, generally 10%. So let's just say if they do $100,000 worth of work, you hold back $10,000 for punch list items. That $10,000 is a liability that you pay at the end of the project. That $10,000 in theory was not what was accrued for.
I also want to point out, Nick, that with each of our audits, your firm has talked to one of our board members. I think last year it was John and this year it was Leanne. So I just wanted to point that out also.
Yes. Any questions?
So there were no exceptions, the management letter's clean, no exceptions whatsoever.
Correct.
Anybody else?
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jay.
It was nice to see you.
All right, moving right along to item B, 7B, the board goal 1. Dr. Kevin Rupstein is going to give us an overview of that.
Yeah.
Okay, we did good.
We administered assessments. Our students did well. And
The
that's
end.
really
The
about it.
end.
That's the end of the report.
More to come.
I wish. So they did do well. Shelly, you're going to have to do it. I promise. So I wanted to provide you guys with an update and just a quick disclaimer on the next screen is that we don't have comparison data, so don't just
Until
let
we
you
have
know.
it, but we can't
we
share
have
it.
it. It is generally favorable, but we can't share it. That was the informal agreement that we made with the other districts that we gathered it from, because it won't be made public until next week. So the park assessment was our second year of giving it. It's an internationally benchmarked assessment and scored by an independent group. And Illinois has a park contract through the end of this school year, and so there's a question about what will happen after the school year. The high schools no longer have to give the park assessment, so they're giving the SAT. If you want to move forward, the score ranges are between 650 and 850, and in order to meet the standard, you had to be at a level 4, and a level 4 is a score of 751, and that's the Illinois threshold for college and career readiness. And as I will remind you from last year, other states have chosen other thresholds, and that is just the nature of the game. So just some scores by grade level, and these are all in your board packet, so you can feel free to move forward with all these, and you can just hit keep on going. Scores by grade level for ELA, so the percentage of students at level 4 or 5, you can see that for grades 3, 4, and 5, we actually did really well, and you'll see in just a second about how we grew. So that class of 2024, which is our current, oh God, goodness gracious, this always trips me up. So current 5th graders, they actually grew by quite a bit from 15 to 16 when they were taking the assessment. But that 3rd grade class, as they get into the assessment and they take it for the first time, they continue to struggle. And so we're working on that. You can see that our scores generally went up at the elementary school and stayed about the same or went down slightly at the middle school, but overall not statistically significant in the district overall. Our scores stayed relatively the same. Just some background and future actions. The units of study for writing had not been fully implemented at the middle school last year, and so that would impact our scores. And just some current and future actions. We sent a team of teachers and other staff members to Columbia University this past summer to work with Lucy Calkins, and spent a whole lot of time this past summer collaborating with Lake Forest 67 on reading and writing units. At 3 full days, and then we have implemented data review days at both schools. And so just a little bit about what that looks like. This is an example of the park data that we are actually getting from park, and we did not have this last year. So we're examining this as a grade level, and so this is an example from 8th grade last year, and the green dots are how our students performed on each of the grade level standards. That's over on the left-hand side. Over on the right-hand side are the two different ways that they score the writing. So the written expression and then the writing knowledge. Written expression is overall how well they write. The writing knowledge are things like grammar and conventions and those sorts of things, or students have tended to do very well there. That's where we focused a lot of our time and energy in the past. And then they do 3 prose constructed responses, a literary analysis task, a research simulation, and then a narrative writing task, and just how our students scored compared to the other students in the state and across the PARC consortium. So we're spending quite a bit of time reviewing these data over the course of our data review days with the teachers.
So just a quick question, that jump by the state from 60 to 80, that's a 33% jump in, is that 1 year?
Where are you looking?
The blue line,
So
goes
that's
from
actually each standard. So that's the percentage of students who got that question right.
That's one question?
That's the
38
questions related to that standard.
So there are 38 standards.
Yep.
In order, most difficult on the left, least
Exactly.
difficult on the right.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
so these are different questions.
They're different questions, right?
Concepts.
Groups of questions.
Kind of a misleading chart.
Well, it's a little
read
hard to
fine
understand, but it
print.
does say that our dots are higher than the state average dots, which
By a
is
lot.
So, and
By a lot.
for example, like, we look at the question surrounding number 7, that would be like low-hanging fruit for us then. Like, why did we do worse than the state average there? What was going on there? Why are we not doing as well as the state and the PARC average there? I look at our literary analysis and our research simulation. Those should be much higher than the 45 and 41% of students who were at the 4 or 5 range on those. Those are like low-hanging fruit for us that very easily, as I look at this data again, this is like, it makes sense to us. But these are not things that we had after the first year of getting PARC data, because you will recall that we got it in December last year. So
And we'll know more at our next meeting, perhaps, about comparisons.
you will know
Yes.
next at our next committee of the whole meeting. So just some scores by grade level for math, if you want to go right to the next slide, Shelley. The percentage of students who met or exceeded who were at a 4 or a 5 for college and career readiness. Again, our elementary school students did really, really well. You'll see a slight dip in our students at 6th grade, which was surprising to us, and I'll tell you more about that in just a second, and some changes in score year over year. So our scores stayed relatively the same overall as a district. They slipped slightly as we compare ourselves with other districts. That is not the same, though I will say that we'll still be a top tier district as we compare ourselves around the area and around the state, the ones that we have seen so far. So again, just some background. We had a brand new teacher and some staffing changes in math at Lake Bluff Middle School last year, and we are working with Janice Heigl right now with our team at Lake Bluff Middle School to further implement our core program and make sure that our math program at the middle school is meeting everybody's needs, and further implementing the data review days. And so this is an example of what our 7th grade math assessment graph looked like for PARC. So again, you can start to see like where we would start to focus some of our attention and energy. Just one other piece that is going to be on the school report card. So last year was the first year that Illinois added a measure of algebra readiness. And that's because of the fact that a variety of studies have shown that algebra is sort of a gatekeeper class to higher learning. And so our algebra readiness score, we had 94.6% of our students who completed Algebra 1 by the end of 8th grade, which Last year, we were slightly higher than that, but it just really sort of depends on the class and the number of students who are in the class, and the number of students with IEPs and that sort of thing. But this will still continue. I remember last year that Jean and I were both at conferences when these data were coming out, and people were comparing their scores, and people were very surprised at how high our scores were. So for algebra and this. So just any questions? That was the fastest report I've ever given to any of you.
That was awesome.
That's excellent.
All right, thank you.
Moving right along.
Thank you.
We are now into action items. And this is going to be quick. Hold on to your seats. Item 8A, we begin with item 8A, which is our annual library grant. It's something that we, I guess technically no longer have to have approved by the board, but we do anyways. It doesn't amount to a tremendous amount of money, but you're talking about, what, $700, $800? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, I now have motions in front of me, so let me get to my language, the correct language here. May I have a motion to approve the 2016-2017 State Library Grant as presented by the administration? Unless there's any questions first.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Richard Hack.
Yes.
Phil Hood.
Yes.
Susan Ryder.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Jim Rosen.
Yes.
Ian Charlo, yes. Julie Gatchell. Yes.
Motion is approved. Now moving on to our modified staffing plan. And the net of the staffing plan is a 1.1 FTE change versus last year, right? Isn't that the bottom line?
That we discussed at our last board meeting.
Which,
We did.
which really means a half a day. 0.1, right? That's a...
I think that's what we figured
It's a half
out
a
it was
day.
gonna be, yes. Added to Janelle Carney's part-time schedule.
Any further questions or need for clarification on any of that? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the 2016-2017 modified staffing plan as presented by the administration and included in the board packet if anybody wants to look?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Phil Hood.
Yes.
Susan Ryder.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Jim Rosen.
Yes.
Ian Charlo, yes. Julie Gatchell.
Yes.
Richard Hack.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Moving on to item 8C, the personnel report. This month's personnel report includes 4 items. We have leave of absence request for Anna Groth, an 8th grade language arts teacher at the middle school, effective February 21, 2017 through June 30, 2017. It's an FMLA medical leave. And also for Patty Briggs, a school psychologist at the elementary school for the 16-17 school year, according to board policy 5.250, it's an FMLA medical leave. And then we also have 2 new hires. Sharon Reserve, a new school psychologist at the elementary school, effective October 31, 2016. She's replacing Patty Briggs on FMLA. And then we also have a new hire of an Adam Schaefer, a special needs aide at the elementary school, effective October 24, 2016. And this is a new position.
It's a new position due to IEP, because it is in addition to the staffing plan we had agreed on last year.
Any questions on that? May I have a motion to approve the personnel report for October 25th, 2016 as presented by the administration?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Susan Ryder.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Ian Charlo, yes. Julie Gatchell.
Yes.
Richard Hack. Phil Hood.
Yes.
Okay. We're now on the consent agenda, item 8D. And this, let's see, where's my summary? This month's consent agenda includes open session meeting minutes from September 27, 2016, the regular Board of Ed meeting minutes. Open session meeting minutes from September 27, 2016, from the budget hearing meeting minutes. Closed session meeting minutes from September 27, 2016 at the regular Board of Ed meeting. The treasurer's report, the impressed report, bills report, and the P-card report. Would anybody on the board like to have any of those pulled for further discussion? Otherwise, we will vote on that on months. No further, nothing pulled. So may I have, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for September 27, 2016 as presented by the administration? Roll call vote, please.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Ian Charlo, yes. Julie Gatchell. Yes. Richard Hack.
Yes.
Phil Hood.
Yes.
Susan Ryder.
Yes.
Motion is approved. That's all our action. And then item 9 is our FOIA. We had 2 FOIA requests. One was from one of the local news stations about how many
On the-
EpiPen pens we keep on hand, right? And the other one was
List of non-certified employees to the IEA.
Is that a union?
Yes.
and then our final item is if there's public comments, if anybody would like to address the board, please feel free to do so. Not hearing any, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:22 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's go root for the Cubs. Thank you.
Go Cubs.
Didn't score.